What's up, guys? Welcome back to the MontyVerse, and today we are continuing our She-Hulk episode reactions with She-Hulk episode 8, Ribbit and Rip It. And joining me as always for these She-Hulk reactions is Nikki. What's up, Nikki?
Not too much. I'm wondering if there's a frog in this episode now.
Possibly. A frog, maybe a Daredevil. Well, I guess I just kind of said his name.
I mean, it's okay. He was in the advertising, so.
Yeah, this is going to be the Daredevil episode, basically. This is the episode that all of the people who don't want to watch She-Hulk have been waiting for. But for me, as a fan of the She-Hulk show, I'm even more excited for this episode, just because I would love to see the two of them interact in court and as superheroes.
Right. I mean, it was already teased a couple episodes ago, like, in a very, very obvious way. So I'm excited to see the culmination of that.
All right, let's not wait any longer. I'm super excited to watch this. The penultimate episode of She-Hulk, episode 8. You ready, Nikki?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. We're jumping in right now, guys. Let's go.
I'm not gonna be a superhero.
Right.
She's gonna do a lot of things, actually.
Twerk. She's gonna piss off the internet. That's what she's gonna do.
Obviously, on my show.
I love that. I love that.
All right, they keep focusing on him.
Todd. I hope Luke comes back.
You didn't tell me you were nominated.
Yes.
I love Griffin Matthews as Luke Jacobson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we left Jen in a pretty good place last episode.
They really did, and at the same time, I get why people are suspicious, though.
I'm also afraid because we left Jen in a really good place last episode, and then that final scene was super dark.
Yes. No, and honestly, with everything that happened, it was great, but it was tinged with too good to be true.
Yeah. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Exactly.
Funny enough, I actually read the opposite.
I'm glad they care about the quality of what they're stealing.
Closed, but you forgot about the guard frog.
Like guard dog. Get it?
Oh.
You
Yeah.
announced yourself as a guard frog.
Yeah, but my name is Leapfrog.
Yes, that has been noted several times.
I could tell that they were afraid of me. So, in order to
Shouldn't that have hurt the guy's hand? He punched the helmet.
Ow. That feels like it would chafe really badly.
Oof. Yeah.
Oh.
And you guessed it, I have third-degree burns
Oh, God.
Oh, he's just a big a-hole.
Luke Jacobson, he specializes in super suits.
Oh,
No!
I mean, you called it just awkward.
Unique physique.
This is not how I wanted him to come back. Well, I guess.
Mr. Patillo Sr.
Okay.
It's very important.
This is an interesting spin on the Patillos, which I'll talk about after.
I suggest that you try to come to an agreement with Mr. Jacobson, so then a filing would not
That's
be
actually,
necessary.
that's
Understood?
reasonable, maybe.
Yeah, I
Yes,
guess.
Ribbit and Rip It indeed.
I don't know.
Yes,
Oh my God.
Ribbit and Rip It indeed.
Oh my God.
I love Luke Jacobson.
Sold him. Now nothing has been filed, so I think we can come to some agreement.
How dare you? I've never made a defective suit in all my life. My
Oof.
work is impeccable.
Oh, obviously.
I love it.
Lumbered in here and stabbed me in the back?
Oh, well,
Yeah,
there's
Luke.
a lawsuit, yes.
He's doing him a
And
favor,
there
though.
will be if you just take
Yeah.
some responsibility for some of my clients.
He just has
but
to,
I
he just
do
has to
not
clear
make
his
suits that
name.
malfunction. My work.
I respect his pride in his work
Well, yeah.
very much.
He just has to prove why it's true, though.
Oh my God.
Paid for that.
Then you shouldn't have betrayed me, you greasy old buffalo. You are blocked, blacklisted, and reported.
Now I'm gonna take you down.
Well, I hope it's not down to wherever it is you get your ugly clothes from.
See you in court.
Goodbye, tragedy.
Griffin Matthews knows exactly what role he's portraying. Like he just,
Yes.
like he just knows.
I know.
He's so good.
Good for him.
Oh my God, that look.
I see you are presently without counsel.
He's staring at She-Hulk like Eugene from the Try Guys was staring in that apology video.
I'm here.
It's Matt Murdock.
Apologies for the.
Matt knows how to make an
audio
entrance.
I had trouble
No
finding
shit.
Because he's blind.
I know.
He can't drive.
No, I mean no shit in the entrance. I'm sorry.
Because he can't drive.
of the defendant's client list be rejected, as it's not relevant to the litigation.
Who's this asshole? I believe
See, based on a very shaky what if.
this
Ooh,
is a
like
very
the
common
show.
procedure in product
What
liability
if?
lawsuits. It is material.
May I remind you that the Sokovia Accords have been repealed.
Okay.
Oh.
Superheroes operate
Well,
in the
it's
public
good to know.
As public
That's what
figures,
happened.
It is assumed
And the
See,
people
and this
closest
argument
to
also
the Walters
represents
passed
how
the
they
court
both
this
live
life.
their lives.
Now,
Yeah.
Ms. Walters and
Not gonna
all
lie,
one man's
Matt
misuse
just
of the suit.
took her
I'm
to
in
school.
agreement with Mr. Murdock.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
He's lying. Don't ask me how I know, I just know.
Yes, we can all tell he's lying. Mr. Murdock. If the plaintiff
I love that.
is missing this case.
Wow.
Go to jail?
Jen just got
no, but I
rocked.
would like you to.
I mean, I feel like she should have examined that
Apologize.
beforehand.
Question my craftsmanship?
Is there any way that
No, because I hate you now.
I love that look on her face. Like, ugh.
I just kind of feel bad because, like, she didn't do it out of malice. She was doing her job.
Oh, he bought her an appletini?
appletini?
Oh, yeah.
Cute.
Mind if I join you? Luke Jacobson made a
I
couple
love
of
how
new
she
suits.
helped him with the beer.
I
And
don't want.
Doesn't
couple new suits.
It's a low blow insulting a blind man's clothes.
Man, stop flirting all the time.
Why, Miss Walters, have you been checking up on me? Well, I run my practice in Hell's Kitchen. And we mostly
New
do pro bono
York.
work.
Hell's
The,
Kitchen, New York,
us part.
baby.
And She-Hulk can help people when the law fails them.
And that's essentially like the whole mantra of the Daredevil show.
And if you
Like
choose,
that was his whole thing.
Be the best of both worlds. We're all feeling this, right? It's not just me.
Oh God, what does this D-bag want?
Wait,
Remember Todd, that
doesn't
gross
Mallory
girl
take
with
care
the
of him?
She-Hulk fetish?
or did he just, like, pull her number back up?
Charlie Cox is so good. They're both good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what an a-hole.
I know.
But the sad part is, like, people like that 100% exist.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. He'll just take advantage of the fact that they have all this access to someone who is at the mercy of their paycheck.
A milli.
Oh, God. He's also one of those who has the money to burn.
A million.
I just love how he's trying to impress her so bad. She's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
$1 million.
Really?
Wakanda forever!
That makes me uncomfortable.
Oh.
Oh my God.
He's so cringe.
That makes me uncomfortable. That made me uncomfortable. This whole thing makes me uncomfortable.
Apparently it was.
Oh no, he's inching closer.
Whatever.
Oh.
If she was feeling it, then wouldn't she have gone on a second date with him?
Wildly inappropriate.
Yeah.
Good for her. It's leapfrog.
Is that a place I'm supposed to know?
Yeah, it's my famous secret lair.
Secret lair. Uh-oh, is it time for the suit? Oh. Yes. Yes.
You need to back off.
Damn, Matt.
This outfit?
Matt is just making entrances all throughout this episode. Main entrance is Matt Murdock. Main entrance is Daredevil. Killing it.
Oh my God.
Where are you going? We're not done.
You're very persistent, aren't you?
Oh, that's awesome. I just love this. I love how he's not even attempting to fight. He's just using his acrobatics to kind of avoid the situation.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's not going to be good for him.
No.
Matt? Wait. Do you pretend to be blind then? Because that is really blind. Oh, like echolocation.
It's.
Okay.
Why didn't you tell me
I
that
also love how
before we
there's a
bought?
billboard for
Why didn't you ask me before immediately trying to whip my ass?
also a play on like the whole superhero fighting before they team up.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm Daredevil.
that's the Netflix theme.
Nice.
Just very daring to use ketchup.
I love how she doesn't know who he is. Rogers the musical in the background. Oh my God, it's actually called the Lily Pad?
I mean, it's cringe enough that I totally buy it.
We gotta go all out.
Oh my God, and it's and it's frog themed.
It's gonna lead to
Lead
her
squad.
either getting fired or leaving the firm, do you think?
Actually, I can't.
Possibly.
These things work very steady.
But I guess we shall see.
Whatever.
Love how Matt's kind of showing her the ropes.
Can hear their heartbeats.
Whoa.
You can hear their heartbeats. Come on, that's a little far-fetched.
Your heart's beating pretty fast.
Whoa.
Oh.
What?
Man. They got pretty damn close.
I love how she's like, I'm healthy.
I'm not gonna sit here for half an hour while you pick off goons one by one.
That's not how that math works. You don't have a thing. You don't ever do this.
That's true.
He's not wrong.
Follow my lead.
He's also not saying don't do anything. He just wants to go about it smartly.
And he also has way more experience doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with being a baby frog. I wanted to call us tadpole. Yeah, man. How do you not know what a baby is?
Oh, in the face. Oh. Alright, that's badass. Are we about to get a hallway fight soon? Oh, I love that. I love it. Oh, yeah. Oh, are we about to get a badass Netflix Daredevil fight scene in the hallway? Of course. Of course, they subverted the expectation. Remember whose show this is, Matt. Alright? Oh my god, he has all frog-based arcade games.
Go, call the police.
Don't you yell at me. I'm already very stressed out.
Eugene, let me give you some legal advice.
Look how Matt's just kicking the shit out of everybody.
More serious charge.
The devil ninja guy. He's a lawyer?
No, I'm just a big fan of legal dramas.
Really kind of doing it for me.
Oh.
Oh my god.
You're forgiven.
Alright, good for him.
Just brooding. Just always brooding. I like that. That's more my speed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a brooder.
Yeah.
I'll hit a rooftop.
To the cops?
Thanks for your help.
You really helped me, huh?
They have very good chemistry.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
I just also love that he's still in the suit as they start it.
Well, yeah, they're both in their suits.
Yeah, but hers is infinitely more comfortable looking.
Nice. Good for them. I think she got a good one. I think she's finally with a good guy this time.
I was gonna say, about freaking time.
As close to a good guy as possible. Matt could be a D-bag at times, but hey, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
They got Daredevil do the walk of shame. Wouldn't that be better to have these boots on?
Yeah, but it's the joke of like carrying the heels.
Fair enough.
Doing the walk of shame. But the question is it the kind of twist that's like, ooh, there's another Hulk, but this one's red, or like, I'm getting fridged?
Oh my god. Okay. 3 big references right there. A Red Hulk reference, a fridging reference, good for them for pointing that out, and a Wolverine reference. The second Wolverine reference we got. Oh, her parents. Interesting.
Hi, Elaine. We are so
Aww.
Such a good dad.
Fit her more. Collaboration?
Ew.
Let's find
He just gives me the creeps. He makes my skin crawl.
I know.
This is actually funny.
So special and empowering. I love it.
This is like a pageant almost.
Half the recognition,
Yes.
and you're constantly being asked what it's like being a female.
Nice.
Yeah. Here today.
Oh
Do you
no.
want to see who She-Hulk really is?
My identity is not a secret.
And she's a slut.
Stop it.
What? Oh, dude, no.
Ew.
In front of her parents. Oh.
I also don't get like what? What does this have to do with what?
Oh no, she's becoming savage. Well, I guess now you know why they were doing it. This is to ruin She-Hulk's reputation. To make her act like the monster they've been saying she is.
Yeah, but at the same time, she was very clearly provoked.
Oh wow, that growl is great. That's the DOD. Wow. Wow, what a great way to end the episode. A lot more serious than we're used to in a She-Hulk episode ending. Very dark place to leave Jen.
Right, which I think is kind of expected, like, just to, like, going into the finales, not that the show didn't have stakes before, but to, like, really hammer it home, and to give the intelligentsia, like in the way that they're just revealing them.
Yeah, oh man, it was just so gross, man. Just to do that in front of her dad, like, and her have to see the look on her dad's face. It just seems so vindictive and I know that these are obviously, the villains are the internet trolls.
Oh, wait. Oh my god.
All right.
Nice.
Matt's walk of shame. Okay, now if the implication... Oh, I guess she was holding her own gown.
Yeah.
When did she get Luke's gown? That's the question I want to know.
She might have...
Maybe he dropped it off.
He dropped off. Maybe Nicki was there just to do her hair and makeup, and then she got the gown.
Okay. I mean... I feel gross.
Of course, but I think that's the intention, though, is that... Because I was kind of wondering, like, what was the end goal of what they were showing, unless it really was just to provoke her.
And it's such an interesting place to leave Jen going into the finale, because it's almost like an inverse of where we found Jen in the pilot, in the premiere episode. Is there an after credit scene? Okay, no after credit scene, guys. I think it's great because it's an inverse of where we kind of left Jen in the pilot, because she had everything under control, and remember, it was her and Bruce was a little jealous that she had things too under control, and he kept warning her. He's like, hey, there are moments in life where people are going to come for you, and there are moments in life where where you have to maintain control when, you know, normal people wouldn't be able to maintain control. And now we see that kind of happening. Like, this is that moment.
Right.
And she does lose control.
She does, though at the same time you have to question, like, okay, what are these guys doing, and why are they all covered up, like, hiding who they are?
Well, they're keyboard warriors. That's why they're covered up.
Right.
It's the anonymous internet trolls.
Right, and I'm not saying she should, like, cause physical harm to them, but it's like, clearly they were up to no good. So I hate, but again, it's completely realistic, the fact that she was being viewed as the monster for reacting even though she was intentionally provoked. Like, that was clearly the whole purpose of that.
Yeah, but it's not... But the majority of the time in life, it's not the people who provoke that...
Get in trouble.
It's publicity. It's like all people will see is videos of She-Hulk rampaging throughout this place, like uncontrollable.
Out of context.
She's a Hulk, you know, it's going to have that context of... She's a Hulk. She's an uncontrollable rage monster, you know, and I'm sure they're gonna give it a female twist, like, oh man, she's a woman and she can't control her emotions.
Right.
And on top of that, she's a Hulk. Like, it's gonna have some crazy spin like that. So that's really what they were trying to do. They were trying to make She-Hulk look like this monster, so they could continue to ruin her reputation online.
Right. Which again still calls to matter, like, we obviously know what intelligentsia, it's supposed to be a ripoff of Reddit and, like, toxic online communities, but I'm still interested, I'm sure they'll get into it in the finale, what is the ultimate goal here? Or is there a mastermind behind all of this who does have, like, a bigger ulterior motive?
Knowing what this show is doing, the show is so smart on so many different levels, because it is extremely meta in the sense of the way it's handling female superheroism, not only like from old comic books, but how it's presented today in comic book movies and in the world. And the villain is essentially the internet. Is the toxic internet people who go after, you know, someone like Brie Larson or the MCU for calling it the MCU with all of these female-led superhero movies. So their goal is we want superheroes to be masculine again. We don't need another woman Hulk. We want more men Hulk, you know? So, like, they want to get rid of this female superhero movement, probably.
Right.
And they see She-Hulk as a very big blockade for that.
Right, which I hate the idea of anyone even looking at as a movement. It's just developing an array of unique, diverse characters who ideally are all great.
Yeah. I mean... And another thing this show does great is it understands like the history of how female characters are treated in comic books, because it mentions in passing a very big term in the comic book industry, and that's fridging.
Yes. Oh, the being stuffed in the fridge, which to give the audience a backstory of it. I don't know if I'm sure it's very obvious you know what it is, which I'm proud that you do know what it is. But the term fridge refers to an incident in the 1994 Green Lantern comic book series with, unfortunately, that stars my favorite Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, where he comes home and finds his girlfriend, Alexandra DeWitt, stuffed in a fridge, courtesy of the villain Major Force. And the term fridging has become synonymous with taking a female character and either killing her off or doing something very detrimental to her in service of a male character. Right.
Like, people thought Barbara Gordon could technically be an example of being fridged in The Killing Joke, when the Joker shoots her and paralyzes her to service Batman and Commissioner Gordon's story, which, thank God, later gets turned into its own thing with Oracle, but that's basically where the term came from.
Right. I mean, the main place, not to get off too much, like that I heard about it was actually in reference to Deadpool 2, which a lot of people I know were like, for a movie and franchise that takes so many shots at tropes, they were kind of surprised. And I love the movie otherwise, but I completely understood when I read like what the criticism was. Yeah, it's definitely an example of that, I would imagine, even though they obviously change it by the end, but... I mean, so technically yes, technically no, in a way. Right. But yeah, I love that the show references that, because this show is really about the female experience in the comic book, the female superhero experience, whether that be it in the comic book world or in the Disney Plus era or the MCU era. It's all about showing how female superheroes are treated in comparison to male superheroes, on top of the comparison of how women are treated compared to men in just everyday life. It's just a very great overarching commentary, just in regards, like you said, to both the comic book world, but also within like the specific fandoms and just kind of in reality in general. And again, here's the thing, like, I know a lot of people might still cringe at this and complain. Again, it's not a matter of saying all men are bad. It's just like, hey, some of these people can be real shitheads, and this is just accurate. And again, we have a great male character in Matt Murdock who showed up. Yeah, and I don't think the show is saying that all men are bad, because again, you have Jen's mom, who's kind of your typical like nasty mother figure, and then you have her dad, who's wonderful in comparison, who's very kind and sweet to Jen. And we also finally got Pug back, even for just a few seconds. So I don't think the show's anti-men. It's because it's not. It's simply not true. I think the show is shining a light on toxic, fandom, and it's not only men that do this. Women are just as guilty as being as toxic as men in this type of fandom, in this type of way. It's very anti-red pill, very anti-incel, very anti, toxic online culture, which, both genders, all genders, are guilty of doing, in a way. I mean, you could even make the argument that, like, the show doesn't do any favors for women at some point too. Not in the sense that's making them like saying that women are bad, but like when you have characters like Titania or even Lulu and all her bridesmaids, like, here are like the nasty aspects of what we perceive as female culture is kind of the superficiality, like the shooting other women down to build themselves up. Like, it's not like the show shied away from that. Yeah, and if you don't think these people exist, go read the comment section of a She-Hulk post. These people not only exist, they're vicious. They're super aggressive and vicious. So if you don't realize how smart it is to make the villains of this season the intelligentsia, you just don't understand what the show's going for, because I think it's brilliant, and I think the commentary on the female superhero experience is just wonderful, and this episode continues to paint a very, very clear picture of what the writers were trying to do with this season. And even though we got a pretty special guest star, this very much felt like Jen's episode from beginning to end. Yes, which I'm surprised we haven't gotten to that yet. Well, this was such a good episode. They did so much, again, because this episode, last week I said that the last episode would focus on
Jen finding herself as Jen, and that this episode would establish her finding herself as She-Hulk and learning to be a superhero. And it does that in a very short amount of time. And then we kind of take both of those things and we pull the rug out right underneath Jen with the ending.
Yeah. Speaking of which, like, this episode succeeded in making me just feel so bad and so uncomfortable for her for so many reasons in regards to things that were just out of her control.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing, like, by all means, I think Luke is a hilarious character. I was low-key very annoyed where it's like, she's like trying to like give him an out, like, and then he just like goes like full ballistic on her the second she even approached him.
No, I understand why though. His quality, his work quality was called into question.
Okay, but for a reason, but it was reasonable. Like, hey, this guy had a malfunction. We were just doing our due diligence.
That's
just,
such a small part of the episode.
It just pissed me off.
I totally get where he's coming from though. As someone who does quality work, I 100% stand by the quality. Like, I get why he behaved that way, because someone like him who's arrogant and can back it up. Like, the proof is in the pudding. He knows, like, I didn't mess that suit up.
But here's the thing. He had to prove it anyway in court. He could have saved everyone a headache by just pointing it out then.
But he didn't know that the person did not follow his instructions.
Okay, we could... Well, I will say this.
I don't want to talk more about this because it's such a minute part of the episode and there's so much more to talk about.
That's fair.
I don't want to turn this into like a 3-hour video.
That's true. Well, I was going to say there was that, and then of course the end where, again, kind of all this is put upon her, but even though she didn't technically do anything wrong in either case, or she was kind of forced in a position to act a certain way.
Yeah, I don't understand how they relate to each other, but that's not really important right now. Like I said, it's such a minute part of the episode, and it's totally justifiable for what we know of his character, for him to behave that way.
Fair enough.
So I don't mind that. But let's talk about today's guest star, and that's Matt Murdock, and that's Daredevil, and this is his first full MCU appearance as both characters. We saw him as Matt briefly in Spider-Man No Way Home, and now we see him as both Matt Murdock and Daredevil. And for anyone who questioned how Daredevil is going to be portrayed in the MCU, I hope that you're put at ease with this episode. I mean, people were worried, oh man, Daredevil's gonna be slapstick, he's gonna be falling over banana peels and like vaudevillian, and
Which it also is weird because it's not like the show's humor was ever like that.
Yeah, it's just so stupid. This episode was so good.
Yes.
And Matt was so good in it, and Charlie Cox portrayed Matt in a way that's very true to his character, and he's written very true to his character from the Netflix series. It's safe to assume that they're playing very loose with the canon and the continuity, but we do hear the Netflix Daredevil theme play when he in that scene where he's like, I'm Daredevil. What do you mean you don't know who I am? Like, so it's safe to assume that everything is still continuity. He does refer to us when he talks about his law firm. So at least Foggy is still around. And we know at the end of season 3, Karen Page became a partner, and it was Murdock, Nelson, and Page became the law firm. It's good to see Matt in a happier place than he was at the end of season 3. He's in a better place. He's happy for the most part. He's still a man whore. You know, he's still whoring himself around.
Totally respectable, as long as he's respectful about
that guy's got a big body count in terms of just sleeping his way through the Marvel universe. What a hoe. But anyway, I loved the way he was portrayed in this episode. I loved it. I loved how he was kind of used as a veteran superhero, kind of showing Jen the ropes. He was there to kind of talk her through things, but he never overshadowed her, ever. Except in the courtroom, where he flexed hard. And I like that. But I'm a huge Daredevil fan. I love the Netflix series. What did you think of Daredevil in this episode?
I was gonna say, because I never watched any of the Netflix shows. I never watched Daredevil or Jessica Jones.
Killing me.
I know. I know I'm terrible, but I had a blast with his portrayal in this episode. Like, even though I don't know a lot about the character, like, I had fun with his cameo in No Way Home. I was very interested to see how he was gonna be within the series, because obviously they teased him very heavily. But no, I thought he was an absolute blast. Like you said, both in the courtroom and then when they were taking Leapfrog down together. Just their dynamic, like you said, was so good and so on point. And just seeing him in action was an absolute blast, especially in contrast to how Jen would approach things. Yeah. But again, he's coming from the place of experience, and like she even pointed out, him not necessarily having the same kind of superpowers as she does, but...
Or any.
Right.
For the most part. He has his echolocation.
I was gonna say, you could argue, like, he has his own, just not...
Which is how everyone always refers to Daredevil's powers, and it's a little different than that, and I'm glad they made fun of that.
Right. And to be fair, like, she was new to him, so it's like, hey, how else would a newbie explain what he does?
I love how they called attention to so much of the Daredevil craziness. Like when he goes, I could hear their heartbeats, and she's like, that's a little far-fetched. It's like my comment section every time I make a Daredevil video. And like the Daredevil, when I was like, Daredevil can smell color, and the comments were like, that's a little far-fetched. It's like, no shit, guys.
Okay,
it's a comic book.
You say it's far-fetched. You're watching a show about a She-Hulk.
Yeah, no shit, guys. It's all far-fetched. It's all comic books, baby. So.
But no, I really enjoyed him. I did love Charlie Cox's performance. Definitely his accent slipping a few times, but you know,
I didn't hear it personally.
I'm shocked. I felt like I heard it a lot, but you know what? Again,
that's just, I don't think you're used to his Matt Murdock voice.
Most likely. I mean, I'm not familiar with him outside of this, but otherwise, like, no, I thought he was. Oh, more Broadway knowledge. I believe he was in the play Betrayal with Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, he was.
And what's her name?
And for Halloween, Hiddleston dressed as Daredevil and Cox dressed as Loki. Yeah.
How did I miss that?
There's a picture going around. You can look it up, people. You're welcome. Go look that up.
Oh, and Zawa Ashton, who's going to be in The Marvels.
Awesome.
Anyway, go
fun
ahead.
Broadway fact. But yeah, I love the way it did it. I have no doubt. Like, not only did this remove any doubt, which I didn't even have because I enjoyed the writing in this show already, but the way they portrayed Daredevil just shows you, one, it just shows you that they're fans, because the way that they played that hallway fight, like, oh, you're expecting Daredevil to have this big one take hallway fight scene, and then She-Hulk just smashes him, and it's like She-Hulk smash, and I love that. So it shows that they're fans and they know what the fans are expecting.
Yeah, and like, here's the thing, I don't know anything about the Netflix series, and I have very little knowledge about the character, but the fact that anyone thought he was gonna be too jokey or slapstick, it's like, yeah, you have some characters in the MCU like that, but it never would have like dawned on me as a concern, and I think the way he was written vibed with the show's tone so well.
Yeah, and also Daredevil cracks jokes in the comics. Daredevil is not Batman.
Right.
And even Batman cracks jokes in the comics.
Yeah.
Like, people have Daredevil has, Matt Murdock especially, has a pretty good sense of humor in the comics most of the time.
Right, and again, there's also a lot of variations on humor.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was really good, and he was very good. I like that Luke has made multiple suits for him. I'm assuming the yellow and red is like his West Coast suit, maybe.
Okay.
And that's what I'm assuming, like me, because Daredevil wears many suits in the comics. He's got the yellow and red, he's got the red and black, he's got multiple red and black. So I'm assuming that maybe we'll get to see more suits, you know, when Daredevil shows. Maybe Daredevil, I don't know, but I'm just excited for Born Again. If this was my tease for Daredevil Born Again, I want it right now. It's so good. It's so good to have Charlie Cox back as Matt Murdock in the MCU. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, no, honestly, like, I had a blast. I'm excited for his upcoming series, and if he does have other subsequent appearances.
Well, he's gonna be an Echo.
I was gonna say, oh yeah. Which, talk about another series that I'm really excited about. Not to go on a huge tangent, but yes.
Yeah, and he's a very big part of Echo's history. But who knows? I mean, if you want to learn more about Echo, you guys can click the link here. I'll put the video I did on Echo up there, and you guys could watch it, and you can learn more about the character. But in regards to this show, we have the character. We also have a character called Leapfrog.
I was gonna say.
And She-Hulk does this really, really cool thing. The writers of the show do this really great thing where they take these obscure characters from Marvel Comics, like Mr. Immortal, and like Leapfrog, and like characters from last episode, and they take what makes them, like their character beats in the comics and they kind of flip them. Like Mr. Immortal's whole thing in the comics for a very long time was that he's gonna die alone. He's not gonna have anyone to be with because he can't die. And this show takes that and he's like got like 9 wives. And his problem is he has too many wives. And so that's how they twisted that character, and it worked so well.
And one husband.
And one husband, correct. Sorry, and it worked so well. And then in this, because this is a very different leapfrog than the character in the comics.
Right, and that's the thing. And this is also what I want to just give credit to really quickly is like he was another rich idiot, which we certainly have encountered them. But one, these actors are so talented and such a blast to watch.
Yeah.
And 2, I like that the show, they're good at making it not feel stale.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you mentioned the fact that he's rich because, again, that's the opposite of what he was in the comics. Eugene Patillo is actually the second person to wear the suit. His father, who they mentioned in this episode, Vincent Patillo, is actually the first leapfrog, and he dons the suit in the comics because his wife dies of cancer, and he doesn't have the means to support him and his son, by himself, so he puts on the suit and he becomes a petty criminal, and he gets locked away, and Eugene has to grow up by himself, and it's because of this that Vincent is ashamed of his past as the leapfrog. So Eugene takes that costume, and to kind of put his dad's mind at ease, he takes it and he renames himself Frogman, and he becomes a superhero. So that's kind of Frogman, like Eugene's story in the comics. And this show morphs that into something that works so much better, not only in the context of the MCU, but also in the context of the real world, because it works so much better because instead of using his dad's suit to become a hero, he uses his dad's money. And it's such an interesting take on the character.
I was gonna say, it's also such an absurdly stupid concept for a superhero that's like, this sounds like something that someone thinks sounds so intelligent and smart, or someone who just like has an obsession with this one aesthetic. It's like, and they're just gonna make everything about them that one thing.
Of course, it's almost this whole episode is almost a meta satire on Batman as a character between Daredevil and Leapfrog. Meet me at the lily pad, and then it's just a giant building with lily pad and neon lights, and the inside is a swamp.
Right, and again, just to reiterate, he's another obnoxious character that we need in the show. But what's so great about it is that they're good at making like shithead characters like him so much fun to watch anyway. Yeah. Again, it's a credit to his actor and the writing. So. Yeah. They just hit well on all cylinders. Yeah, Leapfrog was a great character. I love it. I love everything. I love. He's so good at marketing. He's very good at branding. Yes. He definitely picked a brand for himself and committed 100%. And you gotta respect that level of commitment, because he's down to the point where he just works in a swamp. He's got frog-based video game. He's got like 3 different versions of Frogger in the base. He's got his car looks like a frog. Oh my god! It's just, I love it. I need to take branding lessons from him and expand that to my and have an egg empire at some point. Yeah, the Eggpire. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks. You're welcome. Branding is important, guys. Take notes. Branding. But yeah, great episode. We got 1 episode left, and what a setup for the finale. I know. Well, firstly, I do want to say, obviously, they're a little bit truncated because this whole show has been half-hour episodes, but thank goodness it is 9 episodes. Yeah. I can't imagine cramming everything they've done into a shorter amount of time, and I'm glad they didn't. And like, I know, again, like, we kind of poke fun at, like, oh, some people probably think some episodes are filler. I wouldn't remove any episodes from the show. It's a half-hour comedy series, and I think people are having such a hard time wrapping their heads around it because it's set in the MCU, but I don't remember anyone ever calling an episode of, like, The Office or Parks and Recreation filler, because that's the format. Like, they're not a long-form format, and the show is not only giving you a long form mystery that's in tone with the MCU, but it's also doing the short form comedy series as well. And I think
outside of like WandaVision and Loki, I think this series is the best series to utilize the TV episode format in a very long time. I mean, not saying the other series are bad. I love Miss Marvel, I love Moon Knight, I love the majority of the Disney Plus series, but they all could have been like movies or special presentations.
Right.
This feels like it's taking full advantage of the episodic nature of television.
It feels episodic in that there's a connective tissue, but each of them can be they also feel contained at the same time.
Yeah.
And I also feel like there's some people who, we talked about being a half-hour sitcom, who are gonna be like, oh, but like they tread such serious subjects and clearly they're setting something up big for the finale. Okay, a lot of sitcoms do that too, though, where they have big emotional payoffs for their finales.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, they still don't deviate away from kind of, not their formulas, but from their tone and what they've been portraying the whole season.
Yeah. But, finale. Theories. I mean, it's Todd. The whole king is Todd. I understand people have their theories. I'm so convinced it is Todd now.
Yeah.
It's going to be very hard for me to be convinced otherwise. He was at the gala. Like, he's a psychopath. He was there to watch everything.
I wonder, like, and it's all ultimately a moot point. I wonder if she didn't rebuff him, if he maybe wouldn't have gone through with it then.
Well, it just seems so personal and vindictive, that video. Like, oh, and she's a slut.
Yeah, where it's like,
why was that? Like, it seems like that was added very hastily and tacked on at the end, almost like.
Right, and the fact that's like, because they're revealing all this stuff, and it literally was like, she's not the person you should be rooting for. And I'm kind of wondering, like, what do they have against her? And literally all of it.
She's a woman.
She's a woman who was dating and having sex. It's like.
And she wasn't interested in him.
Right, so it's like the fact that that's all you had on her, it just shows how pathetic you are.
Yeah, it's you know, these people who refuse to focus on themselves, being so critical of other people, you know, and it's interesting.
Right.
But I'm very curious to see. I mean, I'm pretty sure. It's an interesting setup because it's almost set up in a way that we can bring back characters from earlier in the season.
Right, like
to defend Jen's character. Like, we can bring back Blonsky, who I hope. We can bring back Bruce.
Right.
You know, but in terms of like the resolution, I hope that Jen gets to be the one to resolve.
Oh yeah, which I'm
sure she will.
Something I'm actually kind of wondering is, and I don't know the legal precedents. I don't necessarily know like if she could like nail someone on this, but I do wonder the tape that was filmed without her permission. Like, hey, I wonder if like she could go anything with that route, because there's like, again, that's what's been great about the show, is that within the courtroom there's like a lot of stuff that unfolds just within there.
But again, that's not what's going to happen, because
probably not.
It's all about what happened after.
Right.
Because that doesn't matter. Because in the public's eye, that doesn't matter.
Right. I'm just saying the ways in which she could maybe take these people down.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm sure whatever it is, though, it'll be something that maybe we're not thinking of, or that'll be. I'm excited to see what it is.
I think I got a pretty clear idea. I think I got a pretty good idea of what's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be, because again, there's you're forgetting about plot threads we haven't unraveled yet, like the Hulk blood.
Yes.
So I don't think this is gonna be settled in a courtroom.
I don't think it
for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think it ultimately will. I'm just curious, like, what aspects they're going to cover to take them down.
I think it's gonna be punch 'em up. I think it's gonna be a punch 'em up.
Probably. Like you said, I would expect Bruce to be back. I would expect Titania to be back.
I would, I hope that Titania is like the muscle, and she's protecting them, and who knows, maybe listen, we got to resolve the Bruce storyline. We have to resolve the Hulk blood storyline. We have to resolve Titania has to come back, even though she really doesn't have to, but it would be nice to see her again.
Yeah, again, where we left off is she was basically getting her teeth fixed. And that's basically it.
We have to resolve the Jen storyline. So, I mean, I don't know how long the finale is. I hope we get an hour-long finale for this, because it feels like we need it.
Right, which, you know, it would also fit a sitcom format.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, like, in terms of anything in trial law, we may get like a twist on the trial of the Incredible Hulk, like that TV series, and it'll be the trial of the Sensational She-Hulk and or the Savage She-Hulk, and Jen gets taken to court by, and we see these past characters come back and kind of defend her in the court of law and defend her character.
Right. I know there's the scene in the original trailer where it looks like she's kind of avoiding the public eye and the press are looking for her, so I'm sure that's gonna be factor into it. Where she doesn't want the attention, like she wants it to go away, and she didn't want to. And again, this is the sad thing, is like she had no intention of causing any trouble. This was just brought upon her by a bunch of shitheads.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. And I think that Todd is going to be the main villain that we know of in this series. I think he's going to be the main villain that she takes down, and maybe there's a secret boss.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much my finale prediction. It's going to be Todd is the Hulk King. Todd's going to get the Hulk blood. She's going to punch Todd in the face. Because we need that catharsis.
Yeah.
For us to see Jen punch like a regular weak person, like, yeah, that's fun. But she should beat the crap out of him. And she should be able to beat the crap out of him. And I think if we give him Hulk blood, I'm wondering, because like the Hulk blood is a reflection of how we view ourselves, right? So if Jen gets the Hulk blood, and she becomes, and again, the gamma works differently for different people. This is how it works for people in the Banner family. We see how it worked for Blonsky and what he became. But if like in the comics, Jen's transformation is she becomes what she sees what she thinks of herself on the inside, or what she thinks the perfect woman looks like, and that's her She-Hulk. I wonder what Todd's transformation would be. Would he become what he sees himself as, or would he become what he wants to be seen as?
So
if he becomes what he sees himself as, I think it would be an interesting commentary for him to become something really deformed and ugly looking.
Right. I was gonna say, if it's what he thinks an ideal person is, I would expect like full-on alpha male, like I would expect
the Chad meme with like the square jaw.
Exactly. I still liked your idea of like, let's get these big hulking celebrities.
Yeah, that would be hilarious if the Wrecking Crew ever comes back and I want them to just get the jacked celebrity club. Like, get Joe Manganiello, get Terry Crews
for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, just get him for like get him for like one fight scene, and just that's it. And then just and then have them show up from time to time as the Wrecking Crew, because that would be so hilarious, and it'd be such a great way to do the Wrecking Crew in the MCU. Just have them pop up sporadically and get their asses kicked.
Yeah.
In like an Avengers movie, like have them show up in like an Avengers movie at the beginning and just have them get beat immediately. That would be great, and that would be funny.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see where this show goes. I have a pretty clear idea now. I don't want to talk too much about it in case I am right. But I think it's gonna be Jen just taking it to just punching the trolls in the face. That's what I think the finale is gonna be.
I mean, that would be very enjoyable to watch. It's too hard for me to like 100% think of what it could be. Again, I think there, like you said, I feel like there has to be something that'll take place in a courtroom, like you said, maybe the testimonies on her behalf. But beyond that, like you said, I think there will, like you said, it'll be a punch up. It is ultimately an MCU series. There's going to be villains that she'll have to take down.
Yeah, I think we're going to get our big MCU finale, but I think we might get some drama before then.
Oh, yeah.
We still have to resolve, like, it's very clear that, things have to change in her professional life. Like, we see her colleagues maybe forcing her to be She-Hulk all the time as lawyer wasn't a smart idea. Maybe this was a bad idea to kind of do this to her.
Right.
And they kind of saw her as a tool or as an object to be used, and now they see like
the ramifications of that. Like, like something that they thought was maybe a fun, inventive idea is going to maybe backfire horribly on them.
So I wouldn't be surprised if she leaves JLK&H this season.
Oh, absolutely. Again, because I think, like, I was suspecting that from the minute she had that meeting with Todd, because again, it's like, well, are they gonna take the client side, or are they gonna defend her? And unfortunately, it could honestly go either way.
Yeah, so there's that. I also love how, like, again, the writing is so smart, because they mention that, oh, you won Female Lawyer of the Year, and people on the internet made fun of that.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh man, the writing's so terrible. And then this episode, they reveal that it was just like that was a joke. That in and of itself was a joke.
Right.
And so they're so on top of everything, and they're so good at predicting the response to things. Like they knew that people were gonna say that sounded stupid. Well, guess what? It is stupid. And
Yeah.
they just showed and they showed you how stupid awards like that are.
Right, like the fact it never would have dawned on me to take that seriously in terms of like.
Yeah, but it just shows how nitpicky people are, and that again shows the brilliance. Like you said, they constantly show Daredevil in the advertising, but that's brilliant because the people who were complaining about no Daredevil and people who were like, I'm only watching the show for Daredevil, those are the villains of the series. Those are the bad guys, and them using Daredevil in the promotion was them kind of shining a light on those people.
Right.
To you, the audience, like the general audience.
Right, because there was no misadvertisement.
Yeah, and it's so good because it's just like, we're tired of the MCU. Where's Daredevil in the She-Hulk series?
That was the sad thing. I think the first time you ever told me that was like a phrase people use, I thought like, to me, I was like, that can't be real. And then unfortunately, I discovered people who use it, and I was like,
Yeah, they use it to get views, and they use it to spew hate, and it's stupid because, like, come on, what are we doing?
What are
like,
we doing?
what's wrong? Like, wow, what's wrong with She-Hulk being the star of a She-Hulk series?
There's nothing.
Like, if you want more Captain America and Iron Man, go back and watch Iron Man.
Right, and this is the other thing. We're on to the 8th episode. If you're someone who doesn't enjoy the show by this point, it's not going to change.
Yeah, and it's just so many just trying to push such a stupid narrative, and it doesn't make sense and it doesn't work, and just stop. If people are enjoying the show, let them enjoy the show.
Right, and if you don't have to watch it.
Watch Daredevil. There's 3 seasons of Daredevil on Netflix, and there's a new Daredevil series coming next year, so have fun with that.
Or go watch the movie if you really want to.
But I think that this episode in particular is quite possibly one of the best. I don't even want to say hours, but I will say best. It's definitely one of the best episodes in the Disney Plus era of the MCU.
Right, just like as a piece of work within the MCU in Disney Plus.
Really great episode, start to finish. If you're poking holes in this episode, you're just looking to poke holes in something. I think it was a solid episode. It told the story it had to tell. It set up all the things it had to do. It made fun of the other Marvel Disney Plus series. Like, oh no, is there a tacked on set piece at the end of this penultimate episode to set up the finale? It's very good. And if you can't appreciate it for what it is, then you don't have to watch it. And that's
right. And yeah, it's totally fine. Like it's a very unique sense of humor, at least unique to the MCU. Like the way they're telling the story is totally different than anything they've done before, and it's naturally not gonna be float everyone's boat, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, but I think that's all I have to say on this episode. Loved it.
I loved it too. I think we could go on even longer if we could, but
we'll
won't. Save it for the finale.
We'll save it for the
point.
finale, and we'll do like 7 episodes on that, 7 videos on the finale, and we'll do it. All right, but I think that's gonna do it for us today. Nikki, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Twitter at EgglordNikki, and I need to begin learning how to brand better.
Yeah, and you guys can find me here on the MontyVerse on all of the socials at the MontyVerse, Twitter at the MontyVerse, Instagram MontyVerse, Facebook.com at the MontyVerse. And if you're new to the channel and you like the video, give it a huge thumbs up and like it. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell. Stay up to date on all of our latest content. We have great videos coming out all the time. And until next time, guys, stay versed.